Bulginaka, do you know that cybercrime is becoming a growing problem in Fiji?
Cybercrime is defined as a crime in which a computer is the object of the crime, such as hacking and spamming.
Cybercrime is also cyberbullying and using fake profiles to cause panic and spreading false news.
If you're involved in this or know anyone who's committing these crimes, report them immediately.
I'm Polly.
And I'm Peter.
We host the Traffic Jam Show on City FM.
From 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. every weekday.
Do the right thing.
Yandranaka, Fiji. In this bulletin, family care and paternity leave reduced. Contact tracing app to be launched next week. And airline rejects inhumane treatment allegations.
From the studios of FBC Suva, Jackie Spate.
Family care leave and paternity leave have been reduced from 5 to 2 days after an Employment Relations Amendment Bill was passed in Parliament yesterday. Attorney General Ayaz Said Qayyum, in tabling the bill, confirmed that the two leave provisions will be reduced from the current 5 days to 2 days during the COVID-19 period.
The reduced leave entitlements come into effect once signed off by the President, but anyone who's taken their 5 days of family care leave and paternity leave will not be penalized.
If somebody has already taken 5 days family care leave, just because it's now been reduced to 2 does not mean they have to pay back for the 3 days. That's gone. They've taken it, that's fine. Workers who have used at least 2 days of family care leave or paternity leave will not be able to claim an added 2 days during the COVID-19 period or added 3 days.
Where is the government in this? Where is the budget that we can source to help some of these entities directly, including businesses? And I think government doesn't have that space. And this is what Mr.
Said Qayyum says the amendment will classify COVID-19 as an act of God and provide clarity on the duties of employers.
The lack of clarity on whether pandemics constitute an act of God results in employer and worker uncertainty as to whether the duty to provide work continues during the COVID-19 period. Employers will also bear the burden of paying their workers despite COVID-19, which prevented them providing the work in the first place.
For the period identified as the COVID-19 period, we'll assist businesses in restructuring the way that they actually operate and control their overheads, etc., and basically for survival.
The 5-day entitlements return once the COVID-19 period ends. This will be decided by the Minister for Employment after consultations with the Ministry of Health, the Prime Minister's Office, other ministries and the Reserve Bank of Fiji. Edwin Nand, FBC News.
Minister for Economy Ayaz Said Qayyum says after the completion of testing by Google App Store, the government hopes to finalize the Care Fiji app by the end of this week. While providing an update on the COVID-19 tracing app in Parliament, Said Qayyum adds they then plan to have the Prime Minister launch the app next week. He says the Care Fiji app will make contact tracing faster, easier and more effective. Said Qayyum explains that through Bluetooth technology, the app will significantly enhance Fiji's COVID-19 countermeasures.
Fiji Care is actually funding the entire marketing of this app because we need to get all Fijians to understand how important it is to get this app. So there'll be radio programs, there'll be radio advertisements, TV advertisements, billboard advertisements to get everybody to be on this app.
Fiji Airways has rejected any suggestion that staff who were terminated on Monday were treated in an inhumane manner. A number of posts on social media claim that a few cabin crew were told to leave the Fiji Airways premises immediately after they received their termination letters. There were further claims that a security guard had to inform some cabin crew that they were terminated and had to vacate the premises. Responding to queries from FBC News, Airline Chief Executive Andre Fillion said the decision was communicated to all affected staff on the same day, wherever they may have been at the time, including at the Fiji Airways Aviation Academy and other company premises. According to Fillion, where possible, there was a one-on-one discussion with those affected, and staff who were at home or on leave were sent a letter via email, followed by a phone call. He says they regret that there will be some people who will feel aggrieved by the decision and the manner in which it was communicated. Members of Parliament yesterday unanimously voted to ratify the International Labour Organization Violence and Harassment Convention 2019, making Fiji the first country in the world to do so. While speaking on the motion, Attorney General and Minister for Economy Ayaz Said Qayyum says most victims of sexual harassment and related violence is directed towards women, and that is a hardcore fact. Said Qayyum stressed that by Parliament giving the approval for the ratification of this convention, this will be another signal to the rest of the world, but more so to Fiji citizens, that the government is serious about protecting people from sexual harassment and violence.
It will mean that government through this ratification will be obligated to ensure that in every facet of public life, in workplaces, in any of the institutions, statutory bodies, discipline forces, etc., we will need to be fully compliant with the provisions of this Constitution.
Eliminating illegal drugs from our society remains a top priority for the Fiji Police Force. The prevalence of illicit drugs in our communities has seen the force conducting several successful raids in the past few months. Police Commissioner Brigadier General Sitiveni Gilio says they are moving into the areas of Vanua Level where they have noticed certain signatures of the way they do things. Commissioner Gilio says they have collected a lot of information on drugs over the past few years, and they are looking at acquiring various software to speed up the processing of information. Gilio highlighted that the force officers are now using body cameras when conducting drug raids.
Because we've seen over time the first thing that people who are raided do is go and lodge a report or run to the media that we were heavy-handed in the way we raided their properties. So that's why we've got body cams now, we've employed drones.
The Flour Mills of Fiji Foods Limited have commended the work of its employees on the constant supply of biscuits during these trying times. Today, the 29th of April, marks World Biscuit Day, and many biscuit manufacturers around the world will be celebrating the significance of this day. FMF Foods Limited celebrated the work done by its over 1,300 factory workers for sacrificing their time to ensure people of Fiji had constant supply of staple items, especially their biscuit products. Biscuit Factory Operations Manager Ritesh Nandan says the jobs of bakers is as significant as any other.
Being the biscuit manufacturer, there are a lot of challenges. However, being a baker, it's something that they come up with innovative ideas with creating a lot of new biscuits and range.
Coming up, 7 Stars may feature in Skipper Cup, and reduced number of games an option for Fiji FA.
Oira na ngone no ndai nui ena beisinga ni mataka.
Mersusunga da kena loma dina kilo mikron.
Sakena ngau na mitaro bina nona baksunga ika wala loma taki na ngone. Dalo bina oya o meliki.
Bulre oya o Samuel Samuli.
Nama kikira ena bei mataka.
Moniti kina makarombuka.
Ni wai tiri kalima na miniti me ono kina tiri na kaloko. Ena Radio Fiji One na ndomo ibiti.
Inau ina na mataka. Dan ramai na singabo.
Fiji Airways National Men's Sevens head coach Gareth Baber will be looking at the upcoming Skipper competition as a window to get game time for their Sevens players. With all sporting competition put on hold due to the current pandemic, Fiji Rugby Union is working around the clock to ensure that once restrictions are lifted, the Skipper Cup will resume. Baber says he has some new players in mind to join the training squad and also play in the Skipper Cup.
There's a group of players that we've identified who we're monitoring and ensuring that they're getting the information that the rest of the squad get. We know that obviously there's 2 who are supposed to be moving on to France in the coming months. But in relation to the other players, there are still the players who are contracted, and then there's a wider group who we're looking at potentially moving forward to come in and train with the squad, but also then playing the Skipper Cup, hopefully, and potentially any Sevens tournaments we have here in Fiji.
The Fiji Football Association is planning to cut down on the number of matches to be played should local competitions resume. The association met to revise the competition's calendar for this year and the number of matches to hold for the remainder of the 2020 season. Mohammed Yusuf says they are planning for a restart by July 1st with the Vodafone Premier League, whilst other tournaments are planned to have the matches reduced.
Reduction in number of games are planned. except for the plan that will be put forward before the board will be the Premier League will continue as normal, possibly finishing late November, but the other competitions will be slashed to lesser games.
There's a realization among sporting organizations that they would get less funding in the next financial year. This is according to Fiji Sports Commission Chairperson Peter Maisey. Maisey says now sports have to relook at the way they do things under the restrictions that are in place globally and not just in Fiji.
There's been a realization amongst sports. They have to, now sports has to relook at the way they do everything under these restrictions that are in place globally, not just in Fiji, but on what's expected due to this pandemic.
Taking a look at the weather map for today, cloudy periods with some showers and isolated thunderstorms over Vanuatu, Taveuni and nearby smaller islands. Cloudy periods with brief showers over the eastern parts and interior of the other larger islands. Elsewhere, fine apart from possible afternoon or evening showers. Again, cool at night. Moderate southeast winds and moderate seas. And that is your FBC Morning News. Join us at 1 p.m. and 7 p.m. for our major bulletin. Remember, in times of crisis, you need factual news that you can trust. Stop believing fake news about the COVID-19 on social media. Fight misinformation by getting only the facts about the coronavirus from verified news sources like FBC's TV, radio and digital media news. www.fbcnews.com.fj. Keeping Fijians connected with the truth.
हमारे खूबसूरत देश फिजी में चाइल्ड अब्यूज की घटनाएं आए दिन बढ़ रही हैं।
क्यों बच्चों का मासूम बचपन अब्यूज का शिकार हो जाता है?
अपने बच्चों की सुरक्षा का खास ख्याल रखें।
उनसे बातचीत करें, उनके दोस्तों के बारे में जानें।
आज के बच्चे देश का भविष्य है। मैं दीप्ति
और मैं मोनिश,
आपके हमसफर। शामिल हो जाए हमारे साथ मंडे टू फ्राइडे
5:45 AM से 10 AM तक
रेडियो फिजी 2 देश की धड़कन पर।